but I want to start off by saying what a bloody disgrace the officiating is again in the Premier League. I mean, people marched and protested about the Super League. I just wonder whether there should be some sort of protests around the officiating, because these referees and Howard Webb and his crew, they just think we're a bunch of prats. They just think, oh, it's just fans moaning. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's ruining the game. It's completely ruining the game. We've seen it again today. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible how bad the officiating is. Last week, Romero handballs the ball, blocking a shot from Garnacho a metre away. No penalty. No penalty. Today, Sheffield United, same incident, penalty. I mean, the greatest league in the world, a week apart, one's a penalty, one's not a penalty. How are we supposed to function as fans when you've got the same incident being a penalty one week and not a penalty the other? It's just incredible. It's incredible. And look, I was moaning about this before. People will start going on about, well, you know, you're just bitter. My advice to you is don't make it about the club you support. Make it about the game you love, and you will see exactly what I see. Complete and utter inconsistency week in, week out. The reality is they're either both not a penalty, or in my opinion, they're both a penalty. It was a penalty when Romero handled it, and it was a penalty when Sheffield United handled it. They should both be a penalty. How are they missing the same decision week in, week out? And this is why fans are losing their shit every week, because it's incredibly inconsistent. Alex says, I didn't think either were penalties. Well, that's the answer, Alex. They either are penalties or they're not penalties. And I'll explain to you in a minute why this keeps happening, because how we interpret, and I've got to shout Robert McCormack out for this on Twitter, how we interpret VAR is common sense. How the referees use VAR is absolutely hysterically incompetent. Look, the officiating has wound me up this weekend. I haven't watched many 90-minute games, but look, how do we solve this problem? Is there a problem to solve? Because I love football. I'm sure you love football. And every bloody game, not just Man United, every game I watch is riddled with inconsistency. And I don't know whether you know this, but effectively, the way the referees use VAR, they'll only use it if it's a clear and obvious mistake. So if you look at let's just take, trying to think of a situation that is comparable. Well, look, the obvious one for me is Romero handball from Garnacho in the penalty box, arm stretched out. On the field, the referee doesn't give a handball. Today, arm stretched out, Sheffield United player hits it, the referee gives a handball. We're sat here as fans, and there's loads of things. There's yellow cards. There's penalties. There's non-penalties. But how is it that the Premier League? Because if I'm Howard Webb, tomorrow morning, I don't care whether it's a bank holiday, I'm ringing up all the referees. We'll do it on Zoom if you want, and I'm losing my shit. I'm banging the table and I'm saying, "How the bloody? You're embarrassing me. You're embarrassing me. How can you not give a penalty last week for a handball that's the same as this week, and you give one? That's bloody ridiculous." But this is the interesting point. Though that conversation will not take place because many fans think VAR is being run the way it should be. The way they run VAR is they run it on a game-by-game basis. They don't look at anything from other weeks. They don't search out the consistency that we crave. What happened in that Spurs game was the referee didn't think it was a handball. So VAR looks at it and goes, it's not a clear and obvious mistake. It's not a handball. Today, they give the handball in the Sheffield United game, and VAR looks at it and goes, well, he's given the handball. He thinks it is a handball. It has hit his hand. It's not a clear and obvious mistake. The penalty can stand. So actually, VAR is not being used the way we want it to be used. It's being used for obvious mistakes. It's not being used for consistency. And that is why last week it wasn't a handball in the Man United Spurs game, but this week it was in the Sheffield United Man City game, because VAR will only correct it if they think the referee has made an obvious mistake. They are not there to bring they are not using it to bring consistency. And I find that appalling, absolutely appalling, because if I was running VAR, I would say, I'm looking for excellence. I'm looking for consistency. I want a Crystal Palace fan to go to Selhurst Park next weekend and know that if the ball hits the hand of the defender like it did in the Sheffield United game, it's 100% going to be a penalty. Even if the referee on the pitch doesn't give it, we are going to make sure that that is a penalty every week, because that will make us look more confident and competent. And also, if we are going to give a yellow card for time wasting to Onana, even though there's another ball on the pitch because time had passed, then we will give it to everybody. And also, if McAllister's foul last week is a red card, then every foul like that will be a red card. And if it's not a red card, then every foul like that won't be a red card. And that's what we want. But I don't think a lot of fans realise we will never get that, because the way they use VAR is basically just a backup plan to protect referees if they get a blatant decision wrong. They will not correct, the 50-50s, and we will therefore never get consistency. And it's disgusting. It's disgusting, and it's ruining the game, because ultimately I don't think VAR is worth it if you're not going to use it to bring consistency to the game. So look, what I'm trying to say is, in a short term, is next week your team might be playing a game where a handball happens like it did in the Sheffield United game, and if the referee doesn't give it, VAR won't overrule it. So we're going to get inconsistency. I also think, exactly, Robert, well, it's you who prompted it, because I think, sometimes I fall into that trap as well. We are not using it properly. It's a bloody disgrace. And ultimately as well, they're not bothered about us moaning either, because they just think football fans are idiots. That's what the Premier League think. That's what referees think. That's what owners of your club think. They just think we're bloody idiots. So we will have to we'll keep moaning about this every bloody weekend, because they'll just keep being mistakes. I also think as well, watch out for this game today. I watched United against Forest yesterday. Marcus Rashford got a yellow card because two Forest players fouled each other. Bruno Fernandes got a yellow card for next to nothing. Onana got a yellow card for time wasting, but there was two balls on the pitch at the same time, so it was actually illegal for him to take the kick. A player got sent off when VAR should have been used. I mean, it was a catalogue of errors. I mean, I know Forest fans felt that they'd been hard done by yesterday, but trust me, I empathise, and also think there was some just generally crap decisions all around. So who knows what's going to happen? But I think they need to, I think, look, does moaning change it? Well, I think eventually it will do, because I just think the Premier League is a fantastic league being destroyed by people who haven't got a bloody clue what they're on about. And also, can I just say as well, you can clip me up on this, I do not care. I quote tweeted it this morning. I don't know whether you've seen it. Tottenham against Bournemouth yesterday. That tackle by Romero, I said it when I saw it, and I tweeted it when I saw it, and I've seen it again and again and again. That is the biggest disgrace of the weekend. Goldbridge's biggest disgrace of the weekend. That Romero tackle was a bloody disgrace, and it should have been a straight red, and VAR should have jumped in as soon as the referee missed it. That is the definition of a scissor tackle, and a scissor tackle is what ends careers. It was disgusting. He reaches forward to get the ball in a dangerous position in a scissor angle, and then with the other leg he purposely moves it across and wraps basically wraps up the leg. It was a disgusting tackle, and the pundits that want to moan about bloody Rashford diving when he didn't, and want to moan about irrelevant things, you might want to start educating yourself on the game you supposedly played, lads, because you haven't got a bloody clue about what goes on in the Premier League and what's good and what's bad. That tackle was X-rated. I've not heard it hardly get mentioned at all. And I tell you what, do you know what the difference is? If that Bournemouth player had broken his leg and was out for 9 months, they would be going mad about that tackle. But he didn't break his leg, so let's just leave it. That's the quality of punditry in the mainstream media today. If you don't break your leg, it's not a bad tackle. Absolutely disgusting. I've got nothing against Spurs. They've had a really good start to the season. I don't care whether that's Romero, Martinez, Casemiro, Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne. The tackle was X-rated. The player was bloody lucky he's not out for the season. And the fact that that just got left is a stain on the game, that we have got referees and VAR who don't understand what a bad tackle is. But I'll guarantee you, if Romero had gone over the top of the ball accidentally with his studs showing and caught the player on their toe, I could have killed him. It's got to be a 10-match ban. People need to understand what tackles are the most dangerous in football. And I'm telling you now, those scissor tackles, they cause more injuries than any two-footed tackle. They do. They're bloody, because you're twisting ligaments, you're twisting knees. It was a disgusting tackle, and it got completely missed. Take a breath, Goldbridge. I'm a regional